In the year 300 BC, the Stoics paved the way for life-changing philosophy. Today, their timeless beliefs continue to guide us, offering us powerful principles to change our lives. In this video, I'm going to give you 12 Stoic principles to change your life. So let's do this. Hello and welcome to a new video. If you're new to the channel, I'm Jordan Vasiliou and I mainly make videos on self-development, fitness vlogs and fitness education. If this sounds like the channel for you, hit the subscribe button and we'll get into the rest of the video. So the Stoics and Stoicism is something which I stumbled on recently as I was scrolling through Instagram Reels, and I stumbled across this page called the Stoics. And what these Reels more or less include is movie footage, for example from a film like 300 or Gladiators, which had quotes of Stoic beliefs and principles on them, which I found really motivational and I found it pretty relatable, to be honest. So I thought I'd give myself a deeper dive into Stoicism and find out what it's about. So first things first is, what is Stoicism? Stoicism, an ancient philosophy originated in Greece, provides a practice framework for approaching life. Central to Stoic teachings is the idea that individuals should direct focus towards elements within their control, such as their thoughts, decisions, and their attitude. By emphasizing the cultivation virtues like wisdom, courage, and self-discipline, Stoicism aimed to help individuals achieve a state of inner tranquility and genuine contentment. The philosophy advocates for a mindset that accepts inevitability of external uncertainties and encourages resilience in the face of challenges. Stoicism underscores the transient nature of life, urging individuals to appreciate the present moment and not becoming overly attached to material possessions or outcomes. This perspective promotes a sense of mindfulness where individuals learn to navigate the complexities of existence with a calm and rational demeanor. And by adopting these principles, Stoicism provides a timeless guide for personal development, resilience, and the pursuit of a virtuous and fulfilled life. So that's the explanation of Stoicism. Now I'm going to let you know how Stoicism could help you. Stoicism can be a practical and helpful philosophy for individuals seeking guidance on how to navigate life's challenges and cultivates a more resilient mindset. One key principle of Stoicism is the focus on what is within one's control. By concentrating on their own thoughts, actions, and attitudes, individuals can develop a sense of agency and can reduce unnecessary stress related to external circumstances. Also, Stoicism encourages the acceptance of things beyond one's control. This mindset shift helps individuals approach setbacks and uncertainties with greater calmness, fostering emotional resilience. The philosophy promotes virtues like wisdom, courage, and self-discipline, which can contribute to personal growth and a more fulfilling life. By embracing the transient nature of life and appreciating the present moment, individuals can develop a healthier perspective on success, failure, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay, so that is how Stoicism could help you. So I've managed to do a little research on the principles of Stoicism, so you don't have to. So I've personally selected these 12 principles, which I think everybody needs to live by. So here they are. So my first Stoic principle is owning the morning. So I found this Marcus Aurelius quote, and it says, "When you arise in the morning, think of what precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." So what I like about this quote, he's not necessarily saying wake up first thing in the morning like 2, 3 a.m. and grind your ass off before you start work. So what he means by this is by waking up with gratitude, which many people don't necessarily do nowadays, and being thankful for another morning you've woken up. This isn't necessarily something which crosses someone's mind when they wake up, so it's nice to have that in mind and be grateful for another day. So point number 2, and I've touched on this briefly, and that's only focus what's in your control. So Epictetus has previously said, happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within your control and some things are not. And that is just basically grabbing hold of life and not necessarily dwelling on things which have happened to you. What you need to do is just focus your mind and your energy on things which can be controlled by yourself. And by doing this, this will help improve and better your life by not dwelling on things that you cannot control. So point number 3 is a combination of 2, and that is just do something every day and take action. From what I got from these 2 points, they more or less meant the same thing to me, so I combined them. So Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." To be honest, when I first read this, it did blow my mind, but it did take me a while to finally understand this quote. And to be honest, the only way I know how to explain it is productive procrastination. And what I necessarily mean by this is like planning to take action. You could put all this time into the planning, but if you don't necessarily take action, then it's more or less a waste of time. So sometimes you just have to take a step back, make sure you're prepared, but don't over plan. and just take the next step. I hope I've done a good job explaining this one because it was pretty difficult. So point number 4 is constantly ask, is this necessary? Again, there's no complex quotes of this. Marcus Aurelius previously stated, ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? And it's not necessarily rocket science to dissect this. So what I'm gathering from this quote is focusing on the bigger picture. And if it doesn't necessarily contribute, divert, affect the bigger picture in any way, then it's not necessary. So point number 5 is be tough on yourself and understand others. Again, Marcus Aurelius previously said, be tolerant with others and strict on yourself. And this makes perfect sense because everybody sets their own standards. And if you're not necessarily strict on yourself, then your standards are low, unfortunately. And that's why you need to be strict on yourself, because it allows you room to grow and get better. And that goes into point number 6, and that is be virtuous. So the Stoics have 4 values of virtues, and that is wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. So courage meaning bravery doesn't simply mean the sort of bravery one might display in battle or as a firefighter. It means being willing to face difficult and painful things head on. That could be an uncomfortable conversation, the loss of a job, or death of a loved one. So that's courage. So temperance, meaning moderation, does not merely mean avoiding alcohol or other drugs, though drunkenness is certainly not virtuous in the eyes of a Stoic. So temperance here means avoiding excess of all things: food, luxury, leisure. One could even exercise too much, meditate too much, read too much, work too much, or be brave to the point of foolishness. All these excesses demand moderation. So it's trying to say live life with balance. Justice means doing what is right, even if it's an inconvenience or costly. And finally, wisdom means here truth and understanding. A Stoic seeks to know what is true, learn continuously, and keep an open mind. However, the goal is not to acquire knowledge randomly, but to doggedly pursue the important facts, those most relevant to living a good life, because that will lead to insights into the true nature of things. And finally, I'll leave you with a quote on being virtuous. Your mind will be like its habitual thoughts, for the soul becomes dyed with the colour of its thoughts. More of a poem than the quote. It's more of a poem than a quote, but that's point number 6. So point number 7 is lead by example. I found this quote by Epictetus, which more or less says, for example, at a banquet, do not say how a man ought to eat, but eat as you ought to eat. So what this is basically saying is practice what you preach, and don't necessarily tell people what to do if you're not going to do it otherwise. And what he's more or less saying is don't be a hypocrite and do what you expect others to do also, which is short and simple, I guess. So point number 8 is diminishing your ego. There's this quote by Epictetus which says, no man is free who is not a master of himself. And that is more or less not allowing things to get to you and willing to learn and knowing your flaws and your strengths. So that's where diminishing an ego comes into play. It's just knowing where you are and who you are as a person and as a man. And once you accept and acknowledge your strengths, your weaknesses, there's more room to grow and there's more room to help others as well. So point number 9 is you are not entitled to anything. So Marcus Aurelius previously said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you will have the power to revoke at any moment. And you have to remember that you're not entitled to anything. Just because you have this kind of mindset, you shouldn't necessarily expect things. And this kind of comes into play with take action and do something every single day. This is just not to set you up to have high expectations when you're not necessarily working towards something. So this quote by Marcus Aurelius kind of humbles you in a way, and it makes you want to work hard for what you want instead of just setting your expectations high and expecting to get something which you haven't worked for. So point number 10 is choosing your response. So Marcus Aurelius previously said, choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been. So this is a perception thing, and it depends on how you interpret what others have said to you, and you have to respond accordingly. And it is very simple to what he says as don't feel harmed and you haven't been. So it's more or less depending if you allow yourself to feel this type of way, which I couldn't agree with anymore. You shouldn't let anything get the better of you, especially if it's something what someone says. As long as you have that belief within yourself, that's the most important thing. So point number 11 is remember you're dying. So this quote by Seneca, and what he says is you're scared of dying. And tell me, is the kind of life you lead any different than being dead? A lot of people subconsciously fall into the same routine and do the same thing every single day and live subconsciously. And this is where autopilot comes in and you're just doing things for the sake of habits. So what Seneca's trying to provoke with this, he's trying to get you thinking to make you consciously live and do things what you want to instead of just live the same repetitive life on a day-to-day basis. A lot of people are going down this one road where they know exactly where it's leading to, but there's actually another path which leads to the unknown, and that's pretty exciting. And I feel like you need to live like that and have some mystery in your life on a day-to-day. So I really like this quote. And finally, I'm on to my last principle, and that's principle number 12, be grateful. So there's this quote by Epicurus which says, do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you have now was once among the things you only hoped for. And this really hits home. A lot of people look to the future and don't necessarily live in the moment. So it's more or less being grateful for what you have, because you have worked hard to get to this moment. I'm definitely one of these people who are guilty to always look to the future, and I don't necessarily see what I've done and what I've achieved to this point. So at times you just have to sit in the moment and be grateful for what you've already achieved. But anyways, those are my 12 Stoic principles that I personally feel like everybody needs to be living a better life. And it's crazy how that these principles that go back 300 years BC are so relevant in the modern day. And hopefully these principles could get you thinking and improve your life. But anyways, if you've made it to the end of this video, I really appreciate you. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you found this video beneficial. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button while you're here. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. So until next time, peace.